Morning. It's your Federal Phoenix coming at you today. So I just wanted to do a brief video about how I named my YouTube channel. I was kind of thinking, first off, as you know, my channel's named Fed Phoenix, Fed short for Federal. Um, and then I have a tattoo of a phoenix. For those of you that are curious about the whole chest piece, there's a phoenix, a floral piece that's actually a cover-up for something really tacky, and an owl. But the phoenix is certainly a part of my story and my character. It's very symbolic. I can't put the name Fed Phoenix. Fed, obviously, we know what that's about, because my journey is dealing with the federal correction system. And Phoenix, for those who aren't aware, in mythology, the phoenix was this bird that was like made out of fire, or looked to be on fire, very bright, vivid. And the phoenix is incredibly intelligent, and the phoenix lives a very long time. The phoenix is pretty much immortal, and the reason for that is because as life happens, as the phoenix lives life, it eventually becomes encompassed in fire. It gets to just unbelievably difficult circumstance. And the fire is unable to kill the phoenix. What happens is the fire literally burns the phoenix to death, which, if you know anything about burning deaths, it's excruciating. And the phoenix just kind of sits there and just burns and just refuses to die. And when the fire finally ends, the phoenix hasn't died, but rather where the phoenix stood inside its burnt up, the carcass, its body, is an egg. And the carcass of the burnt phoenix kind of shelters the egg, and then when the egg hatches, the phoenix is reborn. But it's the same phoenix. It's not like it died and another, and then it had a child. It's actually a new youthful version of itself. And in mythology, every life cycle the phoenix goes through, the cycle of living life, kind of on fire, and then burning, dying this incredibly horrible death, in a sense, but it never really dies. Its life, its soul, its energy is just transferred to the egg, which is then hatched, and boom. And in mythology, no matter how many times the phoenix goes through this physical death and physical rebirth, it maintains the same information. The phoenix is mythologically noted as being incredibly wise, because this is a bird that has literally lived, you know, countless lifetimes. And I think it's very symbolic for me. I'm a person who's definitely been through some very dark and difficult times in life. Things that literally or mentally would have killed a lot of people. And forged in the fire is a term for those who have, for something or someone who has endured tremendous difficulty of some sort and came out stronger. And I think that's very real for me, for various parts of my life, from my childhood to some of the things I went through as an adult, and particularly, also for this circumstance. A couple years ago, when the incident occurred that these charges came from that I'm facing, my world was turned upside down. I had lived a quiet, peaceful life for over a decade, without any notable hardship, which was probably the smoothest running 10 plus years of my life, almost 15 years. And when this happened, I mean, my world just got tore out of the frame. I was arrested. I did 10 days in regional. I know everyone's saying regional. Well, that's West Virginia. County, instead of county jails, we have regional. So it's like 8 county jails in one facility, and there are a few of them throughout the state. But because it's a more rural state that I live in now. But during that 10 days, I didn't know if I was going to lose my home. I didn't know if I was going to lose my children. I'm a single parent. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make bond and get out, or if I was going to be in there for months or years, and my life in the free world had ended, for a while. And, amongst other things, there were a lot of other dynamics that played into my situation that made this 10 days feel like much longer. And the conditions in our regional jails are disgusting. Super understaffed, super overpopulated. Um, our pod wasn't even given access to a mop. I mean, the hygiene, personal hygiene, as well as the collective hygiene of the facility is disgusting. The food unedible, and I'm hypoglycemic. I have low blood sugar. Twice during that 10 days, I had to be given glucose. The one time I was pretty close to having being taken out in an ambulance. So it was really hell. And then when I made bond, and that was with the state, I was on bond for a year and a half. So I spent a year and a half in a custody battle with my youngest child's father because this situation, gave birth to a custody battle. Um, so between the difficulty of that mentally and emotionally, and trying to really just live my life knowing that at any point, because I was out on bond, I would be indicted. And because initially I wasn't indicted, I was just arrested and charged. And I was looking at 20 years potentially in state prison. And I'm a person who's never been to prison, mind you, and I'm a single parent. And I have loved ones I caregive for that are very close to me. So it was very scary. And then after about a year and a half, I got word that the state had dismissed their case against me. Charges had been dropped, which, that was like the egg hatching, the rebirth. I was so, so, so excited and so grateful and so ready to move forward, with my life and get the stability back that I had had prior to the incident, almost 2 years ago. A couple months later, I get my federal target letter. I immediately, if you get a target letter, immediately hire a lawyer or apply for a federal public defender. You are not automatically going to be given one when you get a target letter. You will be given one, once you're indicted or charged or arrested. But once you get that target letter, you can actually immediately apply for a federal public defender if you don't have money for a lawyer. Do that. Do that and do it fast. And the reason you're doing that is because now now you have representation. So now the possibility of a pre-indictment plea offer becomes a possibility for you, a likelihood even. If you do not lawyer up, they will follow through with the target letter and they will indict you. And now, instead of your plea offer, which you're inevitably probably going to have to take, being based upon statute, which means what the plea deal says, your plea offer will be determined, or your sentencing will be determined upon or greatly overshadowed by sentencing guidelines, which I can assure you are going to be much more, much more punishing than a pre-indictment plea offer. So if you get a target letter, lawyer up now. Get off your computer, your phone. Call your local federal court district. Call the clerk and say, I need an application for a federal public defender, like yesterday. But and now I got about a few months, and I'm potentially I'm most likely unless I get really fortunate, and I'm able to like do my time on home confinement or something, which again, it's a dream. But I know that it's realistically not really more than a dream, nearly 100% of the time. And I know that my incarceration is going to be extremely difficult for me. And not because I'm in jail, not because or I'm in prison, not because, it's scary or it's unpleasant. Those things I can deal with. It's going to be the fact that I'm going to have no access to my youngest child. My whole family is not going to have access to my youngest child. We're not going to know how he's doing. He's not going to be in a set of circumstances that I'm comfortable with even. And there's nothing to be done about that. The loved ones I caregive for, will be put in a very vulnerable position because of my incarceration, because I'm no longer able to give them the care and attention that they need. My eldest child being at a transitional, a positive, a growing, milestone in her life as a young adult. But she's a young adult. She's a teenager. Life is volatile when you're a teenager. I'm sure we all remember being 18, 19, even in your early 20s. Life can get real crazy real quick. And I'm not going to be able to run any type of interference on that. And I'm only going to know what's going on with her, that situation, based on what contact she keeps with me, and people who are children of the incarcerated often have a lot of resentment towards the incarcerated person, and that's understandable. I mean, it really is. You put yourself in this position, and not only do you suffer, but more importantly, your loved ones will now suffer because of it. And when you selfishly allow something to happen that causes suffering upon others, you have to expect there to be some resentment, to say the least, or some frustration. Um, and then, of course, my health issues. Next week I have two outpatient surgeries, one of which is epidural injections into my spine where the bulging discs are pressing on nerve clusters because I have degenerative disc, bulging discs. I have unformed L3. I have, sorry, my phone is being wonky, but, I live in chronic pain 24/7. Well, maybe not quite that much, maybe 18.5. But, I have rheumatoid arthritis in my back and my knees, sometimes in my hand. Sometimes it hurts to close my hand or open my hand. Um, I have Hashimoto's. I have hypoglycemia. I get injections in my knees, as well. There's all kind of stuff going on there. And I know that I will receive minimal to no medical care while I'm incarcerated. So I know physically getting through that period of my life is going to be extremely difficult on a health end. And I know emotionally and psychologically, because of things outside of prison, dynamics, human dynamics outside of prison for me, it's going to be extremely difficult. But I also tell myself, I'm not looking at a lot of time. I'm looking at the most 4 years. And even 4 years in the Fed, with 4 years, you're going to do a little over 3.5 years. But you got to think your halfway house time is included in that as well. So, you're going to do, maybe three, a couple months over three. Now, if you can add in like RDAP, then you may be looking at doing 6 to 9 months of halfway house and, 2.5 years actually in prison. It just, there's a lot of variables to look at. But either way, worst case scenario, I'm looking at about 3.5 years in prison. Well, like 3 years and 7, 8 months, and then the difference on the 4 years in the halfway house, and then of course a year supervised release. But I know that this situation will be, being incarcerated will be extremely emotionally and physically difficult for me and mentally. And I'm a very private person, believe it or not. I don't really have company at my house. I'm not a super social person. I'm very private. I'm very protective of my peace. And privacy, peace, quiet, all of those things will be non existent. They will be completely stripped from my life from the minute I walk into prison. Literally, like I'm going to have to get butt ball naked and squat and cough and be dehumanized and all of that. And that's going to be, the tone as far as privacy goes for the following, for the duration of the time I'm in there. I mean, it's prison. Your dignity is no longer a factor. But I believe that I have the right mind state, that I understand that this is a slice of my life. And remember that this is a slice of your life. Now, if you're looking at 30, 40, 50 years, it's not probably not, it may not be a slice of your life. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for you and your circumstances. But for me and my circumstances, I know this is a slice of my life. And I know that there will be life for me after prison. It will just be a very different life. So, but I look at myself kind of like the mythological phoenix in the sense that, I went through difficult things in life, and I've pushed through, and I've pushed forward, and I've persevered, and I've come out the other end stronger and more. I don't even want to say smarter necessarily, but more seasoned, through the intellectually because of experience. And I think this is another situation that will mirror that. And I know that I have the right positive, but not naive, just right realistically positive, highly motivated, focused, mind state to get through this as quickly and easily as possible under my circumstances. So, when you name your YouTube page, when you think of a name, what you want to do is you want to look on YouTube first, make sure no one else is using it. Then you want to Google it, and you want to make sure this name is not a trademark or a brand or the intellectual property of another person or company. If it pops up, let's say the name you're thinking of for your YouTube channel is Saturday Sweets, I don't know. And you Google that, and there's already a company using that name, or just if someone else is using it for literally anything, just pass it on by and come up with something new. That'll save you a lot of headache and potentially some financial and legal repercussions further on down the line, if your page grows. And it will help with your branding, because you don't want to be using a name that someone else is using, and then as your YouTube channel grows, maybe you're reviewing products or something, but whatever you're doing on your channel, as your channel grows, you don't want to get to a point where you're ready to start branding, you're ready to start selling merchandise, you're ready to do guest appearances, you're ready to be monetized and these type of things. And then you have to change your name. Because at this point, what people know of you, other than your face and your content, is everyone knows you by your YouTube channel name. So you changing that could be a great detriment if you're someone who's wanting to grow your channel for any of a variety of reasons. So anyway, that's how I name my YouTube channel, in case you're wondering. And, that's just a couple of tips to help you if you decide to start one and naming yours. So this was a short video. I think the only video I've ever done that wasn't solely about, the federal justice system. But I hope it's been helpful. I hope you like it. Drop a like if you liked it. Feel free to subscribe. There's a little dingy thing you can hit to get notifications. As I've mentioned many times, and I'll continue to mention, once I actually go to federal prison, I obviously will not be uploading any more content until I come home. And that will likely be a couple years. So, in a couple years, you're going to forget you ever seen this. So, if you hit the subscribe and the little notification thing, then when I come home, you'll actually know I came home and get to hear, what's going on at that point in the justice system. My life in the halfway house. What was prison really like for me? Probably some prison stories, some war stories, or some funny observations or whatever. And I would imagine at that point, I'll probably be about 100 pounds lighter. And I think, I don't know how, I hope in a good way, but I think my overall outlook and demeanor will be different as well. So, anywho, please feel free to subscribe, hit notifications if you want notifications. And as always, this is your Federal Phoenix, and signing off for now, and I hope you have a wonderful day.